Presidential hopeful Dr. Tony Tan said that the global economic situation is building up to a perfect storm, one that could threaten Singapore's economy in the coming months. That was one of the reasons he stepped forward to run for presidency.
I see the dark clouds on the horizon coming on, that I feel that, I was very comfortable in SPH and GIC. It's no reason for me to leave these jobs, which I love. But with these dark clouds coming onto the horizon, I felt that how can I just stand aside, and be comfortable in my own sphere when all these problems will affect Singapore, when I know that I have the experience, the knowledge, which could help the government in order to cover all these problems. Of course, within limits of what the President cannot do. The President is not a power center. The President cannot have executive powers. But the President has knowledge and experience. And he can share this with the government officials. And I know them very well, all the ministers, and maybe they will listen to me, because I've worked in this field for many years. Our Singapore dollar against the US is now 120. Many people predict it will go even lower. It is difficult for our companies to cope if this appreciation is rapid, because you can raise productivity, you can raise skills training, but you can't do it so quickly. All of this takes time. So I believe the government is conscious of all of this. They are taking note of this. How this will develop in the coming months, one do not know. Let me just finally, put things in perspective. I think there is a possibility in the coming months, as I said, of having a perfect storm of problems which will affect the global economy and eventually affect Asia and Singapore. We are not in a crisis yet. If things don't turn out well, we could be in a crisis. Then I think we'll have real problems. So we are in uncharted territory now. I hope that governments in the US and in Europe will work things out, because that's very important. Singapore is not a price setter. Singapore is a price taker. We are too small to affect all of this, but we are affected by the repercussions. We'll see what happens. I do hope that what happened in 2007 and 2008, 2007, I said there were dark clouds facing the global economy at the time. Nobody quite believed it. Then, of course, 2008 and 2009 happened.
How would this relate to your role if you were elected as president?
Well, with my background in these areas and with the knowledge which I have of the financial markets and of the global economy, I believe that I will be able to make a contribution to and help the government and the ministers who are involved in this to understand the situation better. Because I work in these fields for the last 20 years, both in the private sector as well as in the public sector, as Executive Director of GIC. So I have an intimate knowledge of all of these areas.
Dr. Tan spoke to the media on Thursday during a networking session hosted by the Singapore Indian Chamber of Commerce and Industry.
This meeting with the Indian business community here is a part of the number of meetings I've been having over the last 5 weeks. Whoever is the next president of Singapore has to address the concerns of Singaporeans. What are their aspirations? What are the issues which bother them? Tuesday I met with the trade unionists. They obviously have a different perspective on what is important to them. And you got to go around and mix with various groups, not only with the business group, but also with social welfare groups, charitable groups, which I'm doing quietly, not only with what we call important sort of groups, but other people, owners of coffee shops and so on, which I met at lunch yesterday. Different people have different interests. The general theme wherever I go now, more and more now, is the economy. I mean, what's going to happen to Singapore? How will these problems in Europe and the United States affect us?
Dr. Tan launched his website for his presidential campaign, www.tonytan.sg, on Thursday with the slogan, "Confidence for the Future," which he said reflects his optimism for Singapore and Singaporeans.